we are here to bring you everything and anything surrounding Porsche. I'm Mike.
I'm Aaron.
And this is P-Car Talk. Okay, welcome to another episode of P-Car Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm Aaron.
And we're on location at Amelia. We have a special guest, John Oates, and his beautiful wife, Aimee Oates, on. And we also have Ray Schaefer from Porsche Classic. Thank you for joining us, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Great to be here.
We've got a wonderful story to talk about this 84 Carrera between you guys, and we're going to discuss a little bit, and then we'll talk a little bit about Porsche Classic, but we're excited to hear it. But, you know, before we get into that, I know that you're a big Porsche file anyhow. Even prior to this car, you did a little bit of racing and stuff like that in the past, and I think a lot of our listeners, Porsche listeners, they don't know that about you, actually. So can you elaborate a little bit of, you know, where you were racing and what kind of cars you were racing in the 80s and what you were doing there?
Well, I actually, like a lot of drivers, racers, I started with go-karts in the late 70s.
Okay.
I happened to be out at the beach in West Hampton, Long Island. There was a really active go-kart club called West Hampton Go-Kart Club, and I just wandered onto the track and looked around and saw these guys having a ball, and I said, how do I do this? And they said, buy a cart.
Is that simple, huh?
I bought a Yamaha cart, and I raced in Yamaha stock. I raced for 2 seasons and went to the Nationals and didn't do that well, but it was an exciting experience, and I knew that I had gotten the bug. I started doing SCCA racing schools. Mm-hmm. I did a Brands Hatch racing school in England and one in Pennsylvania at Bertle Roos. Did some Formula Ford racing, moved into Sports 2000.
Nice.
Did the Pro Series 2 years. Moved into some IMSA, got to race a Porsche 924 GTR with some great legendary Porsche drivers like Richard Lloyd and George Drolsom.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
And got to race at Daytona and Lime Rock and Watkins Glen, all sorts of places. So, so it was a great experience. Unfortunately, had an accident a little bit later at Elkhart Lake. And that caused me to reevaluate my career path, so to speak.
Exactly. Yeah. You're like didn't want to be so much of a gentleman driver anymore.
I figured I better keep strumming my banjo.
Probably Aimee helped you reevaluate it.
Amy's helped me a lot of reevaluation over the years.
Yes. I've given a nudge or two.
Exactly. It's like, hey, here's the deal.
Right.
I'm gonna be your brain for you. And
gee, you must be married.
Exactly. I'm gonna be your brain for you. You're done doing this.
Right.
You're like,
okay.
All right, babe, love you. And you just move on. No, that's amazing, though. Yeah. I found that amazing, too. How are you finding time to do that with your recording schedule and traveling and touring and all that?
Interestingly enough, when I wrote my book and I began to kind of have a better perspective of what I was doing and during the short period of time, and it was during the 80s when we were at our super height of our popularity, I would leave the studio. I remember we were recording in New York at Electric Lady. I would leave the studio on Thursday night. Mm-hmm. I'd fly to Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And I'd get in a rent-a-car and drive to Elkhart Lake. I'd practice and qualify Friday and Saturday, race on Sunday, fly home Sunday night, and be back in the studio Monday.
So you were diehard, man. You wanted
crazy.
to get it in.
And
you were bitten hard.
Yeah, I still don't know how I did it all, but it was pretty wild.
Yeah, you were bitten hard by it. So tell us the lovely story about the PTS or Special Wishes, I guess, at that time, obviously, the Carrera.
Well, I was on tour in Germany, and it was 1983. My good friend Richard Lloyd, who was kind of my racing mentor, he had been racing Porsches and Audis for a long period of time, and he had a connection at the factory. And he made a phone call for me because I was going to be in Stuttgart and got to visit the factory. And I said, could I build a car while I was here? And it was the beginning of the Special Wishes program, which I wasn't really aware of that. I just thought I'd like to just try to spec something out. And went into a little office. It was very low key. It was one guy, and I don't know who that was. It might have been Tilman Bodbrecht, but we don't know. We spec'd out this car that you see right here, or you're listening to.
Yeah. Well, they got some view. There's a camera there. They get to see the beauty of it. That's why we want to put it on camera.
We spec'd it out, and it was delivered to a North American Porsche dealer. And I kept it in Connecticut for 84 through 90 and then sold it.
Okay.
So it's got a lot of special features.
Yeah.
And the interior's all custom. It's got some features from some of the other models, like turbo-sized wheels, 8s and 9s, and front air dam, positive traction, and a lot of the leather and unique interior.
Now, you got to spec that while you were there, all those things?
We did it in the office, and it was a really cool story because I was going to, I really had my heart set on the turbo look model, the 491 code. And I remember the German fellow that I was dealing with in the office said to me, but the coupe is faster.
And that's all it took, right?
And, and that's so German and so Porsche, right? So obviously I went with the sunroof coupe.
You're like sold.
Yeah, so that was all I needed to hear.
Nice. So as far as we talked a little bit offline about some of the time you got to spend with the car, and now that you guys have been reunited with the car, has it brought back a lot of those old feelings like when you guys were
old
together?
and new? We've definitely are breathing in some new energy into this, and we took it for the real first trip yesterday, a little cruise around the beach and everything, and we just were like pinching one another, like, oh my gosh, it's been 30 years since we were in this. So very surreal.
We kept turning on the radio and watching the aerial go up and down.
Yes, and John's like static. Like, yes.
Yeah.
So
I couldn't figure out how to tune the radio.
We need to get some
channel.
CDs, not CDs. Ooh, I have to go back.
CDs. You gotta go back.
Whoa,
Cassettes.
cassettes. We need cassettes.
That's right.
For the Karma Carrera.
Yeah. The Karma Carrera. I love
good
that.
karma indeed.
Exactly.
Why do we call it the Karma Carrera?
Yes.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Why don't you tell us?
Yeah,
Aimee?
tell us the story behind it.
The Cliff Note version, 360. It was kind of approaching our 25th wedding anniversary. And I was opening up an anniversary card from my parents, and I was like, oh, 25th, and John was on the road. Called him, I said, got a great card here from Mom and Dad, and he's like, I was just on the phone with Kevin Jeanette. He's painting the car, the Tiga, and this and that, and then all of a sudden, it just came full circle, and we're like, wait, instead of gifting one another, materialistic goods for our anniversary, let's get that feeling, that good feel of just giving back into the universe.
We had a race car. We had a sports 2000 race car.
Yes.
And Aimee came up with the idea of donating that race car for charity here at Amelia.
All the people that'll help. Let's give back. Yeah. And so literally within just a couple of days, we're looking on the Instagram, and this
disappeared. So we gave
this
back.
Mommy
and
disappeared.
This came to us. So
and that's why
karma.
Hence Karma
That's
Carrera.
It is.
And things
but that's so true, though.
Full circle.
It's so true. Like when you do something like that,
you can't plan
it's
things
just,
like that.
No.
It's just it was meant to be. So.
And then, it's all the ducks that lined up, right?
Everything.
The 25th anniversary, and it's kind of like
the commemorative, everything. And then Kevin Jeanette, it's just wonderful. Kevin and Sharon, they're fabulous at Gunner. Mm-hmm.
So did the car essentially, I guess you probably wouldn't have kept track of it essentially all that time, but essentially went dormant. You had no idea where it was at, just kind of...
Well, I knew that I had sold it to a guy in Connecticut, where I was living at the time. And I knew that he had it for a while. Then after that, it disappeared.
Okay.
It ended up being sold to someone in New Jersey who kept it the entire time. And evidently, the story was that his wife bought it for him as a gift, but he was a big guy, and he didn't fit in the car very well. He didn't feel comfortable in the car.
Okay.
So he hardly ever drove it, which was obviously, now in retrospect, to our benefit.
I was going to say it really worked out.
Original.
Yeah, it really worked out.
No, it was all kept original. Oh, and that was the major allure when when we saw that the documentation and the owner's manual and everything, his address, his signature, everything was right there. It was just unbelievably.
Yeah, it was like, this has to happen. We have to do this.
It was, so for me personally, it was all about the history, the story of.
Well, think about that. Like what John was saying earlier. How
and it coincided to when we first met. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's great. I wanted to tie into that, which I was going to say when you first started dating. Now you got to go back to the place that you went when you went in the car, right? Like you got to go back to the restaurants or the hangout spots and kind of go relive memory lane with the car.
I'm really enjoying this interview because she actually is letting you talk. This is really incredible. I really like this. We should do this more often.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes. We'll all just travel around.
Yeah, this is good. Like I could be the puppet, right?
Yes.
And it's like, what's going on? Have you guys talked?
After all, this is your show, right? Okay.
It's like you guys talked beforehand.
We'll have
right?
Rod Emery kind of like put on like a trailer, like retrofit a trailer on the back of this car. We'll all just cruise around in a big van.
There you go. It's like, oh yeah, what was that like? So now, getting the car after you found it, was it in this condition, or did you have to breathe some life back into it before?
That's where this gentleman.
That's where Ray Schaefer comes in.
Okay.
We made a call. We had lunch with Jeff Sword in Aspen.
Okay.
The day that we found this car, and we said, Jeff, we don't know what to do. This is incredible, and we said, should we restore it? And he said, well, there's two ways, two schools of thought. There's preservation and restoration.
Yeah.
And he said, if I were you, and if it's in good shape, I would just preserve it the way it is. That's when we called Ray Schaefer, and we said, Ray, what do we do? And Ray,
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that opportunity. It was a great phone call to get. No, it's good.
Ray came here to hold the mic.
Yeah, and I hope I'm doing a good job.
Yeah, whatever mic you want, they're all yours. Whatever you want.
Okay, sorry.
No, good stuff. It was a great call to get. Of course, we were there together at the track back in December when all this was going on with Kevin, and so to get the phone call about what to do with the car now, not having seen it since the 90s, and establishing a baseline of what you have to work with. That's what the Classic Technical Certificate is all about. And so it made sense. I said, well, we don't do that at the factory restoration program. We do that at our Classic partners. And so I said that to John. And of course, the nearest one to us, where we are in our part of the world, was Hennessy in North Atlanta, their Classic partner. And so John had the car shipped there. And met the car there. That was the first time you saw it, right? At that point, it went through a process then where you had a chance to get involved as they looked at it and told you what you had, and you could make decisions about how to make it what you wanted.
Yep. It was mostly on the mechanical side, where the car really needed some TLC.
Okay.
Cosmetically, it was mind-blowing. I mean, as you can see, the car's never been painted.
It's fantastic.
And the interior is really in top shape. So it was all about we wanted to make sure we could drive it and when it was safe. So it needed wheel bearings, it needed brakes, it needed a lot of hoses. Due to the age of the rubber and stuff like that. And they had to replace the rear axles and things like that. So. Right now, mechanically, they really brought it up to snuff, and that was, I think, that's where they put most of the work into the car.
Got it.
And what a great driving car, too. The 3.2 Carrera. I mean, that's what got your attention, right?
Yes.
The update from the SC to the 3.2.
Yeah.
Great driving car. Has air conditioning that works really well for
in Tennessee in the summer where we're driving, air conditioning is a bonus.
It must.
So to get out and drive and do road tours and what have you through the mountains and you can't do much better than that. I mean, that is air-cooled 911. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The sports seats that are in that car, the old style, they really hold you well on the side, but you sink into it, so it's really comfortable.
Yeah, and they also help keep you thin, right? Like, because it always reminds you. You're like,
true. Very true.
Had a little too much pie.
Exactly.
You're like, get in there a little snug, and you're just like, all right, I need to go for a run tomorrow.
It's like a comfort sports seat.
Yeah, exactly. I love the color too, the pearl on it. It's beautiful. You did a great job picking that when you originally did it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was just caught up in the 80s.
Yeah. Hey, nothing wrong with that.
No. Well, you actually have the option to go even more 80s, right? You have another set of wheels.
Well, the original wheels were pearl white to match the car.
Nice.
The previous owner had painted them black, and they weren't great. We wanted to paint them white. We tried to paint them white, but we couldn't match the pearl. It's a very difficult color to match.
Imagine.
So we're going to send that to the paint expert, to Kevin Jeanette. And he's going to try to match that for us.
Well, send them to me, John. I'll take care of them for you.
That's Kevin,
John,
if anyone can do it, he can.
There's no trying with him.
Yeah.
He will do it.
Oh, yeah.
You're
absolutely right, 100%. He's like, they won't leave here unless they're perfect.
So I think the car looks a little tougher with the black wheels, and I do actually like the black wheels.
It does. It looks pretty tough.
It's a nice contrast.
Yeah. So now you've got to drive it a little bit around the island and spend some time with it. How's it behaving for you? Are you enjoying the drive?
It drives fantastic. I mean, it's really, I couldn't really expect it to be any better. It's only got 37,000 miles on it.
That's incredible.
So
somebody really loved that car too, even after it left your hands. It didn't get beat down, which is great.
Not at all. And it's just a miracle. Really, it is.
Yeah.
So many things appeal to us, and that was, of course, one of them. It drives fantastic. It's tight, and a Porsche of this era with 37,000 miles, you can almost consider it a new car.
Absolutely. Yeah. It looks new.
It's just broken in.
It looks new. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to break it in. It's not even broken in yet. Yeah, exactly. So I'm sure you guys have a lot of fun trips planned and stuff like that.
We've got great roads in mid Tennessee.
Yeah,
great country roads. Trying to get Ray up there to take a drive with us.
Yeah,
one of these days.
I'll do that.
Yeah, I've seen.
I'll do that. Yeah,
we're going to go over the pass.
There you go.
Love the mountainous area out there. It'll be beautiful out there as well. So
I know you've been enjoying your Aimee special up in the roads up there.
Yeah. Well, I've been beaten on that pretty good.
Yeah, that's another great color choice, by the way, on that car. That's like a mocha,
I think I might have a secondary career if you guys ever need any.
So this
advice.
is the PTS guys. So like we just email or call John up, and you're like, hey, I'm thinking about speccing a car. This is what I like.
I don't know if I should do this or not, but I'll take credit for it. I talked Hurley Haywood into the color for his Aimee car.
Did you?
Yeah, Lago Green.
Nice.
That's a great choice.
I thought that suited him really well.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because he loves the water too, so it's actually perfect. perfect. Actually, that's a really
I
good
saw
choice.
a Lago green car when I was in England, and I went, "Oh, that's so beautiful." And we were talking about colors, and he was saying, "Well, I don't know if I should do blue." And I said, "Have you seen Lago green?" And he went with Lago green. So I'm going to take a little bit.
I was going to say you claim to fame on that one. That's
look
it.
at that exclusive manufacturer consultant now.
Exactly.
That's right.
There you go.
We know who to.
I am available.
Gun for hire, ready to go. Well, thank you so much for joining the show. I don't want to tie up too much more of your time, but thank you so much. Thank you, Aimee, for coming on as well. Thank you for sharing that wonderful story. And Ray as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for making all of this always present like you always do.
Well, we appreciate the time. We appreciate you guys being here. We appreciate you and Aimee being here and sharing your time with us as well. 25th anniversary weekend of the Amelia Concours.
Exactly.
And
let's go look at some cars.
Yeah,
exactly.
Cars, right?
Yeah, John, we got to say that earlier. It's like we never get to look at anything, so let's go do that.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of PCAR Talk. Connect with us on Instagram at PCAR Talk or online at pcartalk.com.